Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to wherever I forgot my own spiel to wherever you may be. Welcome to the Rainbow X Pitch League Top 8 for Season 3. I dragged that out. Yeah, how exciting. We're doing this for the third year in a row, and speaking of third years in a row, in third seed, 3 times RxPL top 8 competitor Robin. Once again playing a ranger, running it back from last year. She's on Azalea, and speaking of running it back, in the 6th seed we have Maddie on Verdance. Tell me if you've seen that matchup before.
Yeah, we have seen this matchup before. Verdance versus Azalea is also one of our other top 8 games with Summer and Tasha. So we have double Verdance versus Azalea in the top 8. Robin returning, as you said, for her 3rd time in Rainbow Pitch League top 8. And, all I'll say is that historically the Rainbow Pitch League is won by Rangers. So congratulations, Robin. Really excited to see this matchup. This is a matchup that we've already seen it in top 8, but we'll see how this game goes, what might be different, what might feel different. We have the players' deck list. We've mentioned it every top 8 game, but of course, if this is your first time joining us for a top 8 game, it's worth mentioning again that the Rainbow Pitch League during the Swiss rounds has adjustable deck lists, which means you have to lock in a hero at the start of the league, but you can kind of tweak your deck list for development in between Swiss rounds. There's a lot of reasons we do that, but that's just the way that it is. And for top 8, though, you do have to submit a final deck list, lock it in, share it with us, and share it with your opponents. So we do have these deck lists. We can kind of talk about how maybe we'll see some differences in the other Verdance versus top 8 game that we have already watched.
I was going to talk about what we saw in the previous one, but I realize now I probably shouldn't, considering that, you as a viewer maybe haven't seen the Summer Tasha game yet. So, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that. But we have seen this matchup in the Swiss portion, which was fairly heavily dominated by Azalea in both of the Swiss games that we saw, especially considering one of them was Robin. Which I believe, I commentated that with Scott, who is a good friend of our event, our league, us, Scott Mines, fantastic commentator, but also is a good friend of Robin and has the most utmost, has a lot of faith in Robin's ability, especially in this matchup, as they so eloquently commentated over and described everything that Robin was doing. So, historically Robin feels very good into this matchup, and also definitely has the skill to do well in this matchup. Again, bringing up the fact that she is the only 3-time Rainbow Pitch League top 8 competitor in history. Has won 100% conversion rate into top 8, but also historically hasn't passed the quarterfinals. So who knows which side history is going to go there. And on the other side, we have Maddie on Verdance, who's a very accomplished player in her own right as well. You may have seen her in round 6, 7, one of them.
Yeah, we featured her recently.
Yes, very recently. And that's because she was on one hell of a run during the Swiss portion herself. Getting all the way up here. I do think she did drop the last 2 games or 1 game. She's the 6th seed. Nonetheless, fantastic player in her own right.
Yeah, I think you had to X1 to top 8.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
Because we had 125 players. Yeah,
that's a good point. May definitely made her way here. Very accomplished player in her own right. So it's gonna be super interesting to watch how this game goes. And, maybe compare it to the other Verdance Azalea games that we've seen historically, or that you will see in the future if you haven't seen the Summer versus Tasha game yet. And yeah, is there anything more we can note about it that we haven't already said 3 times in this league?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll see how this matchup goes. It is kind of a fun matchup to watch. And I've enjoyed it every time we've done it. So I think we have a quick word from our sponsors, and then the game. Let's jump into it.
Keeping up with Flesh and Blood finance is one of the most stressful things that I can think of. I'm so bad with money, and honestly, finding a deal and then trying to figure out whether it is actually a deal or whether I'm spending too much is something that I just don't really want to deal with, even though I really should. Thankfully, TCG Ted does all of this work for us. Ted meticulously breaks down all the hottest cards and checks their values and trends to make sure that you can make informed decisions. But not only that, he also does case breaks so that you can get your pack opening fix from the comfort of your own home. Ted has been working with us now since the first league, so we're once again so proud to announce we're going to be celebrating our community again thanks to his support. If you want to learn more about Flesh and Blood finance from a friendly face, please make sure to check out TCG Ted on YouTube. His link will be down below. Thank you to TCG Ted for the sponsor. And welcome back to the Rainbow Pitch League Top 8, where you are either watching your first, second, third, or fourth game of the Top 8. We have Maddie on the left on Verdance, representing with Wizards, with Elaine's man Azalea on the playmat. And on the right-hand side, we are representing the Pits, with Azalea, piloted by three-time Top 8 competitor Robin. And being the top seed, once again, she gets to choose the ordering, who gets to go first. And unsurprisingly, the Azalea player has chosen to go first.
Yep, she's going to open up with a Read the Glide Path. You know, after doing some other stuff first.
After a cheeky little death dealer.
Yeah, and the Azalea activation for this Bolton shot.
And what a fantastic card to have dominate on turn 0. Go again, so Robin can choose to attack multiple times if she likes, but crucially there's no card in the arsenal to block this out, which means the reload is almost very likely to be live here. Currently 6 damage, 3 defense, 3 damage leaking through. Maddie accepts it, and we are likely to get a Bolton shot trigger here. And I like this from Robin. So, you know, she's kind of seeing that Maddie still has 3 cards in hand. She's not able to give this next card dominate rather. So rather than wasting resources, just keeping it up, setting up a 5-card hand. She's got Skullbone Crosswrap as her option as well. So having the card face down in Arsenal is not a bad thing, because you can kind of rig your potential Azaleas. And we have the Heartbeat of Candlehold, followed by Command and Conquer. I take back what I said about the Skullbone Crosswrap, because this arsenal may not stick there. This card has been frustrating Azalea since the dawn of time, and of course by that I mean since Arcane Rising came out. Both of these cards coming out in the same set.
Yeah. One thing, you know, looking at equipment here, I do want to point out that Robin is on that Enchanted Quiver. Which of course reads instant, destroy this, prevent the next 1 arcane damage that will be dealt to you this turn. If there is a face-up arrow in your arsenal, instead prevent the next 2. So this is the only source of arcane prevention that Robin has on the board.
And this is like a conscious choice as well. She does have access to Bullseye Bracers in the deck list, but obviously these are open deck lists. Is this obvious? These are open deck lists. And Maddie does have 3 Warmonger's Diplomacy, so Robin will be very keenly aware of that fact. and would like to at least play through one Warmonger's Diplomacy, where it would normally stifle her play entirely. Just having a quick look at the deck list, seeing if there's anything interesting. We have my favorite Verdance card in Maddie's deck. And no, it's not Felling of the Crown, though she does have Felling of the Crown, of course. It is Knick-Knack Bric-a-Brac ×3. Unfortunately, I don't think this is the matchup for it, but I'm very excited that she has got this in her list. Because sometimes you just need to combo out faster. But back to the game, we're getting a 3-card block here, including the long draw half glove for 6, because most of the pumps defend for 2, but that Command and Conquer is not hitting here. We want to keep that card in arsenal, keep 2 cards in hand, and maybe apply some pressure back. So we're revealing Endless Arrows, a good arrow to have at almost any point in the game, and definitely defensible to block that one out. But we're going to save that for later. We're going to put that on the bottom of the deck, and we're going to dominate an Endless Arrows.
That's cheeky.
Okay, so no defense reactions from the arsenal. Maddie looking at the arsenal, perhaps with a bit of sadness. And we have a 10 damage dominate that's going to create a ponder token as well on hit. Of course, Endless Arrow also goes back to hand, so this means that the arsenal is going to be an unknown. Which, isn't nothing in this case. Having a little bit of hidden information can go a long way at times. But more importantly, it's difficult to stop damage.
Yeah, 10 dominate, yeah. Looks like we're getting a block with the Burn Bear.
Mm-hmm. And there's 7. Multiple triggers on the stack. Not needing the ponder token per se to kind of represent that, because that was the last action for the turn.
And it'll just be Robin to draw back up and go back to Maddie. She is going to play Cadaver's Tilling, getting at the first decompose of the game, so it'll count to 2.
So it'll count indeed. And of course, Cadaver's Tilling, one of the best decompose cards you can have early in the game, where it doesn't have an effect that's dependent on how many cards you have in your banish zone. It's just a pure, always H value as long as you can decompose. So, super efficient. It's kind of like a Felling of the Crown in the early game in terms of the damage output, but means that you get to keep your actual Fellings for when they actually matter later on.
Yeah. And Robin just happy to take 8, so I'm going to assume we see a large turn coming back.
Mm-hmm.
The Schoolbook Cross Wrap activation, just checking the top of the deck.
And we're having a bit of a think here. I think that was a what is it? The one with wings. It wasn't. That's not on the deck list.
It was a Rain Razor.
I believe she bottomed it, didn't she? Maybe she didn't. I don't know. But there's a Rain Razor there, and now we need to find ways to get cards to the arsenal. So here's the first one. That's a Hamstring Shot. A great offensive tool. It's got great numbers on it. But also that effect is super relevant, giving the Ranger equivalent of a Frostbite there on hit. And currently it's threatening 7 damage. Now, because there's no Bullseye Bracer, we're going to need to find a way to reload again after this if we don't just want this attack to go big. But maybe Robin's okay with this. Maybe she's okay with just attacking for 10 with no dominate, but just, threatening a lot of damage here. She does have a copy of Call in the Big Guns, which is kind of like a reload source if need be. There's 2 cards in hand there still. So if we see a Snapdragon Scalar's activation, we're obviously going to see some sort of pump spell like a Take Aim or a Call the Big Guns that will do the reloading. But for the meantime, we have...
Yeah.
There we go. 10 on 10. Cleanly blocked.
And we do see the Snapdragon Scalers come down, giving this attack go again.
And
And with the take aim, just as you predicted, into a remorseless.
So, 10 damage once again. Just a cheeky 20 damage turn, you know? That's kind of okay. It's kind of alright. And Maddie just taking this 10 damage. The remorseless will trigger, so any action cards that Maddie plays this turn will cause her to lose 1 life. Now, of course, there is like this weird sort of balance where Maddie has defended with a couple of cards, so I don't imagine seeing her playing more than 1 action card this turn, especially since it's not what Verdance is known for. But nonetheless, still big damage. Pitching a blue, is this a felling in the crown? No. Fruits of the forest. Yum yum.
Fruits.
And I can't tell what color this one is.
Well, Maddie gained 1 life.
Is she not attacking with us? She lost 1 life, right? For playing it? Yeah.
She lost 1 life for playing it. That's what happened. I was...
And
like...
yeah, so the Fruits of the Forest coming in for 7. That was a red copy. We have gone to Robin's turn.
A take aim.
Take aim. Getting the Azalea activation. And like, Bolton Shot's not like a bad one to see here. Like, you may want to Azalea into this, maybe not. It's not so punishing because you still have access to the Death Dealer to play something after this regardless. So if that card on top is something you want to use perchance instead of like Azalea into, you can afford to keep a pump up there. Just because you still have access to Death Dealer.
Yeah, a Lace with Bloodbond as well is, you know, this is presenting 2 extra life than it looks like, potentially.
And a huge amount of damage coming through. Maddie down to 17 already. Getting the Ponder token. Does that Ponder token represent something else, or was there a mental block that I missed? Maybe.
I think there was a mental block.
Right. And here we have the drill shot. And there's a whole bunch of equipments on the other side that look very tasty with a defensive value that could be lower. So this is still a little bit threatening and, you know, forcing Maddie's hand a bit. And she's just happy to take 4 here. Well, happy might not be the right word. She's willing to take 4 damage here, put a -1 counter on a piece of equipment, and keep a 2-card hand swing back. Surely this has to be something like a felling of the crown at this point.
Yeah, I think.
Or Cadaver's Telling. It's kind of like a felling of the crown.
Soil count to 4, halfway to Verdance having some checks.
So I count to 5 even. 3 Earth cards going to the banner zone there.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, not only just the Verdance though, it means that she can now block with the Bark Skin of the Millennium Tree. You get additional points of value that way, make up for the fact that there is a -1 counter on there, you still get to use it. And the Ponder token meaning that she gets Arsenal card as well. Really representing the Wizards with the Emperor Sleeves. The Blood Rot token dealing 2 more points of damage. And back over to Robin's turn. So once again, no disruption there. Robin has access to 4 cards once again. 5 if you include the fact that Death Dealer exists. So there's a Bolden Shot, drawing a card. Don't get the Skullbone Crosswrap activation here. But this is kind of the same. That's a Rain Razors on top. I don't imagine we're going to see an Azalea into that. Unfortunate to hit one of the few yellows in the deck. It's only 3 go again here.
Yeah, 3 go again. This is not that threatening to Maddie. But although it is a good way to kind of keep the life totals down. Maddie is already at 8 life. soil count is at 5, so theoretically she only needs one more decompose to turn Verdance on if she can do the triple earth card like we just saw. And back to Robin, a lace with inertia, and this Bolton shot is coming in for 6.
Yeah, and super powerful. That one card in hand threatening potentially another attack after this, you almost have to respect it at this point. Just because your life total's so low, you can't really risk going much further down and letting another attack come through. So here's the defense for 6. I believe that's a Fruits of the Forest underneath that pulsing ether. And as a result, Robin's just happy to Arsenal, maybe play with up to 5 cards next turn. If there's no disruption here, I don't see Robin blocking this turn, if I had to guess. But there is disruption. We finally see the Felling of the Crown. Do we have 3 Earth cards? We do. Yes. So the hero ability is live. Verdance has text. Felling, well, already had 8, but as 8 damage here, forces Robin to put a card underneath the deck. And that's exactly the kind of card you need here to stay in the game if you're Maddie. Something that applies a lot of damage, meanwhile has enough disruption that it might force your opponent to just block this turn out rather than attack you, and at that point you can then start buying some tempo back. Or you can take the life totals down to 9 if Robin really needs every card in hand after losing one, just to apply pressure, and then at that point all you need to do is a little bit more damage to that Waning Moon or something, maybe the Verdance life trigger, and then you can start being threatening with this Storm Striders, especially because their headpiece is the now banned Earth headpiece. It is banned, right? In like theory, not
the
now,
plume?
Not in the league. Yeah, the plume. Yeah, I think that is. It's now banned.
Yeah.
But not
right.
banned for the league.
I don't play Verdance, but I think you're right.
This, again, like Golden Tipple, was the decks were locked in before that ban list, so this is legal for this event. But yeah, that does open the opportunity to just draw some rampant growths during Robin's turn and kind of go for a kill out of nowhere. Again, only Spell Void 1/2 situation dependent. And for Robin, that's not the card you want in your arsenal. That's a Memorial Ground.
Yeah.
Although I guess...
I don't think at this point Robin has played... Well, Ravenous Rabble, maybe?
Yeah, so the yellow Memorial Ground gets a 1 cost, so it's going to have to be like the Hamstring Shot or the Remorseless that we saw earlier in the game. But crucially, unless I'm missing something, I don't think there's a way to put an arrow on top and then have that be your dominate whilst also having an arsenal without something like Take Aim, but I think we've seen 2 if not 3 Take Aims already. Definitely at least 2. But I think 3. So again, not the most efficient card to have here, but we're gonna have to do it anyway. We're putting a card on top that I missed. And we're going to be using the Tunic for the Death Dealer so as to not go down on cards. Seek and Destroy. Oh, I think it was the Yellow Bolden Shot.
Yeah,
maybe,
the Yellow Bolden Shot, I think.
Just to give her resources.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Infecting Shot.
The Infecting Shot's the big one here. This is 8 damage, so it's lethal. And if any of this damage comes through, then Maddie's not going to be able to keep an arsenal for the next turn. And you know, Maddie's list does have a non-zero amount of potions. So this could be threatening, but we're getting the full block for 8 here, thanks to Verdance being fully farmered up. Has all the soil she could want. And the Rain Razors!
Rain Razors!
Oh gosh. So now we're going over the top. This inertia is going to hit currently as things stand. Is there a defense reaction to go over this? There is no dominate on this one. So defense reaction from hand or arsenal could work here still.
Looks like Maddie is going to have to take 2.
Yeah. Maddie has to take the 2 here. No more action points. Has access to 2 cards in hand, 1 card in arsenal. Something like Fruits of the Forest is maybe what she's has in hand. Or because of the Bloodrot Pox, you can like stack the triggers as such that you can pitch the Bloodrot Pox before the inertia, or the inertia-esque effect of we keep on confusing this card for everything, and now that it's here I can't remember the name. Seek and Destroy. The inertia-esque effect of Seek and Destroy happens, so there are plays to be made with what would be an otherwise awkward number of cards in hand. Pitching the blue for the plume, and we're getting Felling back? Okay, so we're going for a double Felling sort of line here. So, happy to give up the arsenal if it means we can play another Felling in the Crown. And this is where this card gets scary. This is 8 damage, and if you go too low as Robin, you only have AB 1/2. So you could just be dead to like a Burn Bear or a Emeritus Golding, if that's in her list. It is, yeah.
Yeah, and Maddie is also running the Storm Striders as well, so once you go too low, you're not safe on your own turn.
Exactly. Yeah, so deciding not to try to go for like a rampant growth play here, just being like, hey, this is the best way for me to either buy time or give me the opportunity to get the win out of nowhere. So super heads up play here, knowing that the game plan may have shifted, or this could have been the game plan all along, but also wary that Maddie is now going to be taking 2 from this Bloodrot Pox and not going to be able to keep an arsenal. Does she have Sigil in her list? Let's have a quick look. Yeah, no Sigil of Solace, so that arsenal is going away. Well, I guess it could be like a random life card. Gain 1 life. Not quite Sigil, but like the same idea.
Yeah, Robin just really having to think here with the Felling of the Crown, which I totally understandable. This is a big moment in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about for sure. Like, maybe it's getting to the point where your life total is getting low enough that you do just have to risk going down to a low life total and just hoping that Maddie never draws one of the bigger arcane damage spells here. Like, that's maybe an option. Giving up the Tunic seems reasonable here. You've already gotten quite a lot of value out of it. I don't know if this game's going to go 3 more turns, so you might as well get the 1 point of block from here. With no arsenal, it could be defensible to like block with the Skullbone Cross Wrap, but maybe that's a bit too hasty as well at this point.
Yep, got the Tunic block. I think, Robin is going to think about additional blocks. Now, I will say these top 8 games have been they've all been pretty quick games, but our top 8 is, it's not timed. So these players, they do have the leniency to just really take some time and think about these blocks, which there's a lot on the line, so we respect when they do that.
And she takes 7 going down to 2, just completely risking her life total here. Oh, there's the life. But yeah, completely risking her life total here if it means that, she has the chance to try to close this game out. Really hoping that Maddie just doesn't have the arcane damage in hand, and I don't think she does. I saw a Sink below, I saw a Felling of the Crown, and a Ravenous Rebel's doing a great job of playing pressure here. And, oh god. So there's another Rain Razors on top. If Robin has a 0 cost arrow in hand, she can pitch the other card and then attack with that arrow and functionally make it a 6. Maddie having to give up the Felling of the Crown here to defend purely because I think her hand is very red heavy.
Yeah.
Or at least very resource light. And deciding that she needs to be able to block this next arrow from that Rain Razors. And, you did bring up the point that players do get some time to think, and that makes sense, especially in a game of Flesh and Blood. But, conversely, you also get, to the testament of these players, they're playing at a very good pace.
Goodness.
This is back-breaking. Absolutely back-breaking.
Oh, no. This, of course, is a codex of frailty coming in. Yeah, but yeah, to your point, Kiki, these top 8 games, I mean, they've been played at the pace these players are playing at. These players are ready to battle it out. They know what they want to do. They know what their decks do. They have been playing at an extremely reasonable pace and really only taken the time to sit and think at the points where it really, really matters, like we just saw.
And we can see why Robin is having to take a moment there. This hand doesn't block very well. If she was to block out that Felling in the last turn, in likelihood she would still be taking some damage. So having to go for the risk here just for the bigger play. Now, she does need to threaten lethal. Thankfully, she has +3 and an inertia token. So even if she doesn't threaten lethal, she at least stops Maddie's ability to get an arsenal, which will maybe help with the Storm Striders win normally. This is a drill shot. It's a 0 for 4, no effect. So we're not going for any sort of effect play here. Because, again, you can put a -1 count on the Storm Striders. Will definitely not do anything based on the fact that we've seen the deck lists. But that Ponder token should help a lot. And we also know what's on the top of the deck. We know the top card is Rain Razors. So that Ponder token isn't an unknown draw here. It's going to be +2 at instant speed on the following turn. It's just now up to Maddie to decide which cards she wants, or which card she wants to discard, and then how much of the 7 damage she wants to block. Actually, that's 7 damage. It's going to have to be discarding to Codex, blocking with 2 cards, and then losing that arsenal because she doesn't have any 0-cost attacks. This Codex is brutal.
This Codex...
It's going to leave Maddie with actual nothing. And still taking 1 point of damage.
Yeah, this is really brutal, especially this late in the game.
Yeah. Of course, Maddie still does have the out of drawing a Burn Bear and 4 resources to win the game. Or an Emeritus Scalding and drawing 3 resources to win the game. But, Robin just realizing that there's no time to play safe here. Throw caution into the wind and hope that whichever flesh and blood deity you like smiles down upon you.
Does feel like one of the only options here.
Yeah. At this point, Maddie has to be racking her brain, but I think she realizes there's only one option here, which is discard a card, block 2 cards. Oh, I guess if she has a defense reaction, actually, that's the one thing. She can go down to 1.
Yeah.
Because there's no Blood Rot here at the moment. So if she has the defense... We know she has the Sink Below, actually. So she can discard a card. But I don't think she has the blue, otherwise she wouldn't have blocked with the Felling of the Crown first. Which is unfortunate for her. But a Felling for 7 would have gone a very long way. If it was possible. Which I don't believe it is. Definitely not an easy decision here.
This is a really difficult position to be in. On another note, I love the signed Azalea map that we're looking at. It is pretty great.
Now that the equipment's been worn down, we get to see Federico's iconic signature.
Yeah. looks so good.
Fun guy to hang out with too.
Really?
Yeah. Since players are currently in the tank, might as well go into the story of how he, we had the party flat in California for Worlds.
Right.
And people would come to our flat, or our accommodation, our Airbnb, every night. And one of those nights we were joined by Mansand and Federico. So, good time. He absolutely fawned over Carolina's chain cosplay.
That was one of my favorite cosplays, I think, in Flesh and Blood to date.
Yeah, and it's his character, so of course he was so excited about the process. But it looks like players are going into making decisions here. Potentially.
Got some cleanup happening, because of course the chain was broken with laced with inertia. So just kind of cleaning up, filling up the crown, putting it in the graveyard, going to get filling up the crown.
Oh no, that was the fruits of the forest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 7 damage here. We know that she has access to Sink. Well, I think she has access to Sink Below and a card. And usually when you discard a Fruit of the Forest, you gain 2 life, but not in the case of Codex.
No.
Does she have the Sink Below to go to 1 and then be able to throw back a 7 power Codex Friendly?
Oh.
Okay, so she's saving that Codex for a following turn. She doesn't get that inertia.
Survive the Codex is an important.
Now, Robin does have access to 5 cards. Can Maddie defend this attack with 3 cards only and still be able to send that felling for 8 the following turn? She's, I imagine, hoping that there's no Bloodrot Pox token.
And no Dominate.
And no Dominate, of course.
Because
that's not an attack.
But it is a Rain Razors, though.
We know there's the Rain Razors there. The top card of the deck is the Read the Glide Path.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big one. That's a... I can't remember the name of that one. But it's an attack, nonetheless. And we know that there's that pump. And I couldn't tell what card was on top there. We could still have a Dominate. We do have a Dominate. This is not looking good for Maddie. If you are a fan of Maddie, I'm sorry. Because this is a huge dominated red in the ledger. How poetic for Azalea to be swinging for lethal with this attack in particular. This is coming in for 13. And a felling of the crown defended with, again, super thematic. And that is the game. Congratulations to 3-time Rainbow Pitch League top 8 competitor Robin for taking it out and moving on to the quarterfinals, semi-finals.
All right, that was the final game of top 8.
It was one of 4 top 8 games.
One of 4 top 8 games. We saw Robin take it down on Azalea. That Codex was just kind of back-breaking, putting Maddie in a really tough situation at the end of the game.
Yeah. You know, not gonna lie, I forgot that Codex was a card. We hadn't seen it all game. I just couldn't think of what arrow would have been as impactful there. And, there were a lot of good options that could be impactful, but I think that was the best card that she could have had in that situation. Again, being able to throw a 7 damage attack with that inertia, disrupting the hand and Maddie's ability to block that turn, forcing both defense reactions to go on top of that, just kind of gave Robin the time to set up a 5-card turn the following turn. And of course, if those weren't defense reactions, it's even worse for Maddie there. If she takes 1 point of damage, she loses that felling in the discard pile. So that codex was perfect if you're a fan of Robin. Like, the best card she could have had there. If you're a fan of Maddie, it was the worst thing you could have seen, and I apologize. But these players, super fantastic players. I loved the players on both sides. We've seen a very different take on Azalea, like with Robin as opposed to Summer's variant of Azalea. Summer being a lot more zero cost reliant, a lot more red line. Whereas, you know, we saw a lot of pitching going on, or comparatively, for an Azalea, making sure she had the resources to play these one-cost arrows. There was the Remorseless, there was the Hamstring Shot, we saw right in the Ledger. Cards that aren't necessarily there for the Verdance matchup, but were still efficient enough nonetheless, and allowed for some big turns. We had that 20 damage Rain Raises turn near the middle of the game, and on Maddie's side, she knew what she had to do based on her game plan. Again, a different take on Verdance in the same way that Robin's was a different take on Azalea, focused less on like the red arcane damage spells and dealing arcane damage compared to what you will see if you haven't already seen it when you watch the Tasha versus Summer game. But instead, being able to decompose quite aggressively, get off these big attacks. We've seen the potential for multiple fellings. We saw multiple cadaverous tillings, and she was leaning much more into like the punchy side of Verdance.
Yeah, I mean, really, yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything, but really well played for both players. I mean, this has just been a really exciting top 8 to watch, and both of these players' journeys, of course, have been really excited to watch into this point. As we mentioned in the pregame show, I don't know what we're calling that. Yeah, this was Robin's third time making top 8 of the league, but also Maddie was just like on fire. Obviously, he had to go X1 to top 8 the league this year, and Maddie just like had such a strong win streak too. It's so fun to see these players just like enter the Swiss rounds and just be so dominant. So congratulations to both players, not only on this wonderfully played top 8 game, but also on the league as a whole. Just really well played. We're so proud of you.
And to Robin specifically, congratulations on breaking your curse. You are in the semi-finals. So, yeah, that was either it or just the beginning, depending on which video you're watching and which order. And until then, we will see you at the next Rainbow Pitch League top 8 game, if you're watching in order, the semi-finals. But until then, goodbye.